Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam jumpa mahasiswa Universitas Terbuka dan pemirsa yang menyaksikan video ini. Saya Profesor Haraman Haji Latif. Pada kesempatan ini saya akan membawakan materi mata kuliah Manajemen Perbankan Syariah dengan kode IKSA 4402. Membahas dalam video ini mengenai modes of financing atau kadang-kadang disebut produk-produk perbankan syariah atau financial instruments in Islamic banking. Di dalam perbankan syariah itu tidak ada riba, dilarang riba. Karena riba itu salah satu principle of Islamic banking di mana tidak ada riba, tidak ada gharar, tidak ada gambling. Tapi ada pertanyaan yang biasanya muncul. There are questions on if there is no interest in Islamic banking, how Islamic banking operates. Jadi karena tidak ada interest riba di dalam Islamic banking, jadi bagaimana perbankan syariah itu beroperasi? Bagaimana bisa mendapatkan untung? How Islamic bank gets profit without interest? Because usually interest ini adalah biasanya di dalam perbankan konvensional itu biasanya untungnya biasanya dari hasil riba di konvensional. Tapi di perbankan Islam nggak ada, there is no interest. So how Islamic banking gets profit? Bagaimana bisa dapat hasil? Normally, as I said, in conventional banking, operation of Islamic banking is mostly, it is an interest-based banking. Apa artinya? Selalu interest operasinya. Contohnya saya simpan uang kepada bank dan si bank kasih saya riba. Ada artinya yang saya simpan nanti kalau saya tidak ambil dalam setahun akan ada tambahan. Kenapa itu dikasih oleh bank? Karena untuk to convince me not to get the money, not to withdraw the money, supaya saya tidak mengambil uang yang saya simpan di bank. Tapi si bank ini dia akan menggunakan uang ini yang Anda simpan ke bank, dia akan menggunakan pinjamkan kepada orang lain dengan bunga, dengan interest. Dengan interest. Contohnya Anda simpan dikasih 2%, tapi uang Anda ini dipinjam oleh bank kepada orang lain dengan 10%. Jadi 10 ke orang lain, Anda dikasih 2. Jadi yang sisanya 10 dikurangi 2, 8%. That 8%, that's the profit of the conventional banking. So how in Islamic bank operates without like this? Bagaimana perbankan syariah bisa beroperasi kok nggak ada seperti ini, ada riba? So there are many ways. Because it is prohibited in Islam to have an interest. So how Islamic bank operates? There are many modes of financing provided by Islamic bank where they have many products where they provide for the customers. Mereka kasih kepada produk-produk ini, kasih kepada klien mereka tanpa ada interest. Dan ini yang kita membahas hari ini. Today we will discuss this modes of financing. So first, modes of financing usually done by the Islamic banks is what we call mudarabah. Mudarabah is a trust financing. What does it mean, trust financing? Financing di mana harus ada namanya ada kepercayaan, ada trust kepada dua berpihak atau kepada parti. Mudarabah ini adalah partnership, kerjasama di mana satu orang kerjasama di mana yang satu memberikan uang modal, yang satu dia yang mengelola usaha itu. Jadi di perbankan syariah bisa melakukan seperti itu. Dia memberikan modal kepada seseorang yang dia dipercayai, begitu dinamakan trust financing karena harus ada kepercayaan. Nanti si seorang itu dia akan yang memanage usaha itu, dan mereka ada kesepakatan, they have the agreement, what we call the loss profit sharing of profit, untungnya dibagi tergantung kesepakatan, dan kalau rugi ya si bank ini rugi uangnya, dan juga si memanage usaha ini hilang usahanya. Itu namanya mudharabah. Ini sebenarnya bukan cuma di bank, kita bisa melakukan ini sebagai seorang muslim atau sebagai bukan non-muslim juga bisa. Kalau non-muslim maunya bisa menerapkan tidak mau interest riba. Karena sebenarnya di dalam agama lain juga, khususnya di Nasrani, itu sebenarnya dulu dilarang untuk melakukan interest. Dilarang di dalam agama-agama lain, sebenarnya juga dilarang untuk melakukan riba, interest. Di Nasrani juga dilarang untuk melakukan interest. Tapi karena perkembangan masa, ya dibolehkan. Itu bedanya di dalam Islam, because in Islam what is prohibited is permanently prohibited. Apa yang sudah haram itu selalu haram dulu dan haram juga sekarang. Interest sudah haram, jadi juga interest riba itu haram dulu, sekarang juga masih haram. Itu mudharabah, namanya trust financing. Trust financing ini bisa ada dua dibagi, namanya restricted and non-restricted. We call this mudharabah al-muqayyada. Restricted, jadi bisa saya kasih modal ke Anda, dan Anda yang mengelola uang itu, apa usaha aja yang Anda mau usaha apa saja, terserah, asal syariah, asal ini tidak bertentangan dengan syariah atau asal halal, yaitu namanya non-restricted. Saya kasih otoritas ke Anda untuk mengelola uang ini. Jadi itu namanya. Ada juga yang mudharabah di mana saya tentukan kita harus di sini bisnisnya, nggak boleh di sana. Itu namanya non-restricted. Kedua yang dilakukan oleh perbankan syariah adalah murabaha. Apa ini murabaha? Cost plus financing. Cost plus financing. Cost plus financing ini disebut cost plus financing because in this type usually ini murabaha ini adalah buy and sell. Jadi supaya lebih jelas, perbankan syariah ini menjual barang kepada Anda. Contohnya, Anda butuh mobil, Anda tidak punya uang. Jadi Anda bisa ke perbankan syariah. Perbankan syariah bisa membeli mobil yang Anda mau. Jadi setelah itu, sebelum ada kesepakatan, Anda ke perbankan syariah ya mau bilang mau mobil ini, mau beli mobil, tapi saya nggak punya uang, tentunya. Oh bisa, nanti kita ada kesepakatan, we will have an agreement. Okay, so we will buy the car, kita beli mobil Anda yang Anda mau dengan modal yang segini, contohnya 100 juta, contohnya 100 juta. Bank syariah ini beli mobil ini dengan 100 millions. This is the capital. Ini yang saya beli bank syariah ini beli mobil ini dengan 1 juta. Termasuk ini transportasi, bayar transportasi ini ya 100 juta, tentu 100 juta. Saya mau jual ke Anda dengan 120 juta. 120 juta. Jadi saya mengambil untung 20 juta. Saya sebutkan untung berapa dan saya sebutkan berapa harganya pada waktu saya beli. Itu namanya murabaha. Murabaha itu namanya. Disebut begitu dinamakan cost plus financing, kita sebut biaya yang kita gunakan pada waktu kita membeli barang dan berapa untung yang kita mau ambil kepada si nasabah ini atau kepada si pembeli ini. Nah, kalau sepakat ya jual barang, Anda bisa jual barang, tapi biasanya dengan installment basis. In other words, it is paid within, for example, within 5 years or 10 years, depends on your agreement. apa kesepakatan. Kalau dalam 5 tahun, ya Anda membayar 1.200.000 itu 120 millions itu pada dalam 5 tahun for 5 years. Dan kalau sudah disepakati harga, ya harga tidak bisa dirubah, ya harus tidak bisa dirubah harga itu 120 juta. Dan itu namanya murabahah. Itu namanya murabahah. Itu biasanya di perbankan syariah, ya kebanyakan mereka memberi produk ini yang murabahah ini. Kebanyakan perbankan syariah ini produknya namanya murabahah. Jadi kita bisa juga melakukan itu, bukan cuma di perbankan syariah. Anda bisa juga melakukan itu. Kalau punya modal yang besar, punya uang, ada yang mau beli sesuatu, bukan cuma mobil, juga apa saja barang bisa Anda jual dengan lewat murabahah ini. Murabahah ini sebenarnya jual beli. It is a cost plus financing. Then another one aside from, so we have mudarabah. Mudarabah is a trust financing. Murabahah is a buy and sell usually, and we have also musyarakah. Musyarakah is almost the same with mudarabah. Hampir sama dengan mudarabah. Mudarabah yang saya sebut tadi is a partnership where one has a money. Partnership di mana yang kapitalist or kadang-kadang disebut rabbul mal, yang punya uang itu dia kasih modal, Anda yang memanage. Tapi di dalam musyarakah ini kita dua-duanya gabungkan uang. Anda menggabungkan uang. For example, perbankan syariah gabungkan dengan uang si nasabah. Dia gabungkan uang. They partner in capital. Jadi bergabung dengan kapital. Saya kasih uang, Anda juga kasih uang, kita gabungkan. Untuk manajemennya juga kita dua-duanya yang memanage. Itu namanya musyarakah. That's the musyarakah. That is what is called musyarakah, partnership. Usually this is a partnership. There is also sometimes a diminishing musyarakah. A diminishing musyarakah is a part of the musyarakah. Itu bagian dari musyarakah. It's a part of the musyarakah partnership. Diminishing musyarakah adalah Anda memberi barang, kita partner, kita membeli barang mobil contohnya 100 juta, 50 juta dari Anda, 50 juta dari saya, kita gabungkan, tapi yang milik saya itu di sana di mobil itu yang 50 juta, Anda bisa membayar dengan cicilan, installment, sampai Anda bisa dapat itu, mobil itu. Itu namanya diminishing, bisa juga diminishing musyarakah. Karena saya sebenarnya bukan saya mau mobil, tapi kita gabungkan membeli barang itu, tapi yang milik saya di mobil itu saya jual ke Anda dengan installment, itu bisa juga. Namanya diminishing musyarakah. Bisa juga itu disebut diminishing musyarakah. Another products in Islamic banking and finance is ijarah. Usually this is a leasing. Leasing adalah we can say siwa. Di dalam bahasa disebut siwa, leasing. Ijarah, because this is an Arabic term, ijarah. Jadi kita meniwakan barang dan ada untungnya, ada siwanya, ya itu ya namanya. Perbankan syariah bisa dapat keuntungan dari di situ. Jadi perbankan syariah bisa ada barang-barang yang dia disiwakan, nanti ada untungnya. Yang dilakukan biasanya ada namanya return and own leasing. Apa itu? Return. Ada leasing, ada siwa yang kita siwa aja, tapi barangnya kita masih milik si bank contohnya, atau si punya barang itu dia masih milik. Ada juga yang ijarah, leasing, yang dimana pada akhirnya kita siwa mobil ini, tapi pada waktunya si penyewa ini atau si orang ini bisa dapat mobil itu langsung setelah selesai kontrak. Itu namanya leasing, ijarah bit tamlik, atau leasing wherein after the agreement you can own that property or that asset. Another products of Islamic banking is what we call the salam, and we have also istisna. Salam, this is a buy and sell also. This is a buy and sell. The seller akan menjual barang niya, tapi delivery niya nanti, dan pembayarannya sekarang. Itu yang namanya salam, buy and sell. So contohnya, usually ini terjadi dalam agriculture. saya menanam banana atau pisang, ya. Dan saya tidak punya modal untuk menanam itu. Saya butuh uang. Jadi si perbankan syariah bisa order, bisa beli pisang pada saya. Dan tapi dikasih nanti pada waktu panen, contohnya. Contohnya dikasih saya 1 juta dengan ini berapa kilo pisang, contohnya 100 kilo pisang dengan 500 ribu, ya. Nanti pisangnya dibayar nanti setelah 3 bulan contohnya. Dan saya sebagai bank saya bayar langsung. Jadi Anda dapat uang itu, bisa juga Anda menanam pisang itu nanti pada waktu yang kita sepakati. Anda kasih saya pisang itu yang 100 kilo. Itu namanya salam. Ini sebenarnya di dalam Islam dibolehkan karena untuk kepentingan untuk membantu si para petani untuk bisa menanam. Itu namanya salam. Tapi di dalam salam ini there are conditions, ada syarat-syarat. Syarat itu adalah harus jelas apa barang yang dijual, harus jelas berapa harga, dan the product, how much and how many, harus jelas. Dan di dalam salam tidak boleh dijual produk yang unik. Artinya produk yang unik itu yang tidak bisa ditemui di pasar itu tidak bisa dijual dalam salam. It can be sold in salam mode of financing. Karena nanti bagaimana Anda tidak bisa mendeliver barang itu, karena contohnya Anda menanam pisang dan si pisang ini kena contohnya badai, jadi nggak bisa panen. Tetapi bisa Anda mencari pisang ini di pasar yang umum karena ada, itu bisa di salam. Tapi kalau pisang yang spesial nggak ada ditemui di pasar, itu nggak bisa dijual dalam salam karena Anda sulit mendelivernya pada waktu Anda tidak bisa mendelivernya. Anda punya kesulitan untuk mencari di pasar. Itu yang namanya salam. Ada juga mutual financing Islamic banking namanya istisna. Istisna ini seperti Anda memesan barang. Jadi mau bikin rumah. Jadi Anda dibikin rumah nanti kalau udah selesai kita bayar. Itu namanya istisna. Ya, istisna itu namanya mutual financing. So those are itu yang some of the mutual financing Islamic banking. Tapi sekarang juga di dalam perbankan syariah ada namanya salam paralel. Salam paralel ini karena tadi contohnya di perbankan syariah kok nggak butuh pisang sebenarnya karena itu bukan produknya. Tuh bagaimana bisa melakukan buy and sell dengan salam? Ada paralelnya. Jadi si perbankan syariah ini melakukan lagi kesepakatan di orang lain. Jadi saya beli itu pisang 100 kilo dan saya bayar Anda, nanti saya jual kepada orang lain. Dengan harga yang lebih tinggi. Jadi si bank ini melakukan paralel kepada orang lain. Itu yang biasanya juga dilakukan oleh perbankan syariah. Itulah yang namanya produk mutual financing. Ini bagian. Some of the products in Islamic banking finance, we have the mudarabah, musyarakah, murabaha, we have the ijara'ah, we have the salam, and istisna. These are some of the mutual financing Islamic banking finance. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Hopefully this topic will benefit you and also those who will watch this video. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum. Salam jumpa mahasiswa University Terbuka. Nice to meet you, students of the University Terbuka, and dan yang pemirsa di video ini, and those other viewers of this video. This is Professor Sahraman Haji Latif. We will in this subject ICSA 404402 about Islamic management, Islamic banking management. We will be discussing about the governance and sources of Islamic banking and finance. So what are those sources of Islamic banking and finance? So sources, in other words, what are the principles of Islamic banking and finance, where they arrived, they are from where. So usually we discuss about the sources. And the governance, how the Islamic banking is governed. So we will be discussing that one. There are many sources of Islamic banking. As you can see, in conventional banking or is in Islamic in economics, conventional economics, usually what are the sources? This is usually, for example, in conventional economics, the source is usually from thought of Adam Smith and other economists. But for Islamic banking, for instance, what are the sources? This is the beast, the fountainhead of Islamic banking. So there are many sources. First is the Sharia law itself. In other words, because Islam is the complete way of life, so there is Sharia law. Sharia is, we can see, the seat of laws in Islam. So this is the Islamic banking and finance is guided by the Sharia law. All the regulations, principles of Islamic banking is from the Sharia law. Then we have these Quran, sources of Islamic. Usually there are two sources of Islamic banking. We have these primary sources and we have these secondary sources. For primary sources, we have the Quran and Sunnah. The Quran and Sunnah are the primary sources of Islamic banking. Quran, there are many verses in the Quran that deals with economic activities. For instance, why in Islamic banking interest is prohibited? What's the reason? What is the source of Islamic banking? What is the basis of Islamic banking that interest is prohibited? Because it is prohibited in the Quran, as Quran is the primary sources of Islamic banking, and because interest is prohibited in the Quran, so interest also is prohibited in Islamic banking. So that's an example. There are many verses in the Quran that deal with the economic activities, financial, commercial activities, including banking activities like the prohibition of interest, prohibition of gharar, prohibition of injustice, prohibition of gambling. So these are prohibited in Islamic banking because the source also prohibits, that is the Quran. Quran is the revealed book or the holy book revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Arabic language. This is the speech, this is the words of God or Allah revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is what we call Quran, which is literary mean is to read, to write Quran. So this is the derivation is from the word reading. It's about Quran. So this is the one primary sources of Islamic law, the Quran. Another source of Islamic sources of Islamic banking or Islamic law, because the sources of Islamic banking is Sharia law, and Sharia law, the source of Sharia law is the primary sources, the Quran, is the Sunnah. Sunnah is another source of Sharia law, which is Sharia law is the source of Islamic banking and finance. Sunnah is the tradition, is the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The seeing, the actions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the Sunnah. The tacit approval of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also is a Sunnah. So there are many economic activities done by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, And because of this, because this is the Sunnah, so it becomes the source of Islamic banking. For instance, the riba also is prohibited by the not only the Quran, but even the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In other words, in the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that prohibit riba, interest. For example, the riba about sell, or we call it riba in buyo. So this is riba mentioned in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited this type of interest. This type of interest, which is riba al-buyu. So that's the another source of Islamic banking, the Sunnah, the practice of the Prophet sallallahu, the sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and tacit approval. In other words, during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were sayings of the Prophet, action of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam related to economy or economic activities. So these two are the primary sources of Islamic law and Islamic banking. Again, I repeat, Quran, and we have this Sunnah. Another source of Islamic banking and finance is the ijma. Ijma is the general or consensus of the Muslim scholars, the consensus of the Muslim scholars on particular issue. When a certain case is agreed by the majority or by Muslim scholars, then it becomes an ijma. Unanimous by the Muslim scholars, then it becomes an ijma. This becomes another source, then it becomes a source of Islamic banking. Ijma, consensus. And we have also this qiyas. Qiyas is analogy. This is another source of Islamic banking, qiyas, analogy. What does it mean, qiyas? Qiyas, for example, for you to understand, is the example is the prohibition of shabu, or the illegal drugs. Shabu, or we can say narcotics, is not mentioned in the Quran. Shabu is not mentioned in the Quran. What is mentioned in the Quran is the you can see the wine, prohibition of wine, drinking of alcohol is mentioned in the Quran. Why it is prohibited? Because it is prohibited because it has a high impact, negative impact or effect to the mentality, to our minds, mentality. So it is prohibited because it will cause drunk. So it is prohibited. So therefore, shabu is not mentioned in the Quran. So what is the case of the shabu or the illegal drugs? It is prohibited because it is analogous with the same with the wine. The wine is prohibited because it can give a high negative impact to the minds, negative impact, effect to the minds, can destroy our minds. Then shabu is much more, it can destroy our minds. So illegal drug is prohibited also, although it is not mentioned in the Quran or even in the Sunnah, but because of this qiyas or analogy, it is prohibited. So that's an example of qiyas. Another example is usually during the Friday prayer, doing business, selling and buying, selling during the time of Friday prayer is prohibited, as Allah mentioned in the Quran. That do not deal, buy and sell during, not deal selling, al-bay is prohibited, selling during the time of Friday prayer. So it is prohibited. In other words, how about if I'm not doing with the business? I am busy with studying during the Friday prayer. Is it also prohibited? Yes, because of in qiyas, in analogy. Because of the analogy, it is prohibited. And not only for the business, for doing business. That's an example of qiyas. So those are, we have also another sources, but we just focus on these 4 sources. For primary, we have this Quran and Sunnah, and for secondary, we have this Ijma and Qiyas. How about the governance of Islamic banking and finance? How the Islamic banks are governed? How it is implemented in some Muslim countries and even in non-Muslim countries? Usually, the Islamic financial institutions is the same structure with the conventional financial institutions. Generally, Islamic banks are the same with conventional banking in terms of governance structures. In other words, there is a manager, there is a head of the Islamic bank, there are staff, workers, employees, the same with conventional banking or the non-Islamic banking. In some countries, the governance of Islamic banking is governed by the central bank of that country. It is governed by the central bank. But what is unique in Islamic banking and Islamic bank, which is different from the conventional banking, is that in Islamic banking there is what we call an Sharia Supervisory Board. There is a Sharia Supervisory or Advisory Board. This is a board that has functions in the supervision in the bank, in Islamic bank. Usually in some countries, central bank has, in some countries that have an Islamic banks, they have this Sharia Advisory Board in the central bank, in their central bank. In some countries, there is this Sharia Advisory Board is within the bank, Islamic bank, within the Islamic bank. So, what is this governance system? So, this Sharia Advisory Board has many functions. Usually, the Sharia Advisory Board or Advisory Board's function is to give advice, from the word advice, to give advice, legal advice for the approval for the Islamic banking activities or products. Usually we have this, it includes its function is to give advisory role, the approval role, and we have this audit role. The roles of function of Sharia Advisory Board can be divided into 3. We have this advisory, to give advice. Advice in the sense that to advise that these products, for example, is not compliant with the Sharia, not compliant with the Islamic law. So give an advice to the Islamic bank management if they have these products which is not Sharia compliant, So the Sharia Advisory Board give advice. Usually the member of the Sharia Advisory Board is my seniors. Usually members are in conventional banking. Usually the members are mostly competent members, but in Sharia Advisory Board, in Islamic bank, the Sharia Advisory Board, usually the members are Muslim scholars, or the members should have at least a knowledge about Islamic law or Sharia. Yes, they have this competent to be the advisory board of the Islamic banks. So they give advice. That is the one role of Sharia Advisory Board, give advisory role, give advice if the products or activities of bank are Sharia compliant or not. They also sometimes they have the role of approving. So this is approval. One of the role is approval. They approve if Islamic banks offer a new programs or give a new program, not programs but products. They consult the Sharia Advisory Board for approval. They ask the Sharia Board for approval that these products are Sharia compliant. Another rule is sometimes is audit role. Audit. Sometimes they have Sharia Advisory Boards do an audit in Islamic banking. They audit the Islamic banking. So those are the roles of Sharia Advisory Board. The implementation of Islamic banking in different countries, it depends. Sometimes we can divide into the three: implementation in the countries or the governance of Islamic banking. It depends on the countries. We can divide into three: governance in those countries that are Muslims countries, in which they have this they already recognized the Islamic banking and finance. Sometimes in countries in which they don't have this, in countries that with minority Muslims, so also they have this different type of governance. Also some countries, Muslim countries, but not yet we can see fully accept the Islamic bank. So there is another governance for them. So these are the governance of Islamic banking in some countries. So for this, for example, in minority countries, Muslim minority countries, like in the case of the Philippines, the the governance of Islamic banking is under the supervision of Central Bank of the Philippines. The Central Bank supervises the Islamic banking in the Philippines as a minority Muslim country. But there is now an we can say there is now an initiative of the Central Bank to have an Sharia Advisory Board in the Central Bank of the Philippines to fully give advice and also give advice and audit role in the implementation in activities of Islamic banking in the Philippines. So those are the governance sources of Islamic banking. Again, the sources are the Quran, the Sharia, and the sources of the Sharia is the Quran, the Sunnah, and we have this Ijma, and we have this Qiyas. And for governance of the Islamic banking finance, it depends on the countries. Some countries, governance is under the Central Bank. Some countries, the governance is separate. It's not in the Central Bank, but they have this separate governance for Islamic banking finance. Some, the governance is within the Islamic bank itself. The Islamic bank itself has a Sharia Advisory Board that supervises the Islamic banking in that Islamic banking. So again, this is for today. See you for the next session. Hoping that you learn something about this topic, and see you in the next episode. Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum.